If you just want the results quickly before having to watch the rest of the video, there was indeed, as the title suggests, this is a FPS comparison between desktop environments. And yes, there did seem to be a slightly higher FPS average for the Cosmic desktop over Gnome. Now, if you want to see the actual explanation in the actual analysis, let's go into that. So again, it's the same Linux install, same graphics driver, same display server, same everything except for desktop environment. I got this idea from the previous video I did about Pop! OS versus CatchyOS. And in the comments, actually, a lot of people give feedback on suggestions on different ways to make this more accurate. And it's from that I actually got this idea. I was like, well, let me just keep everything the same except for one thing, and that is desktop environment. So let's look at Gnome first. And it looks a little bit kind of like what we used to see in CatchyOS. So this first one, an average of 84 FPS throughout this game. Again, very similar metrics to the data collection method as the first video. I kind of tried to start recording at the start of the game and at the end of the game. If you want to see the Python script I used to visualize this data, I talked a little bit about that in the previous video. But there is some methodology. I use an interquartile range to identify any outliers. So the outliers should be removed from these data sets. Okay, so average from this game was 84 FPS, about 56% CPU load. These are mainly the metrics that I'm looking at. Next game is 97 average FPS, 63%, 96, 64, 94, and 62. Okay, so let's go to the Cosmic desktop data. That was Gnome. All right, here we have an average of 101 FPS and CPU load of 62%, average of 90 and 62, average of 164, average of 98 and 63, average of 103 and 60, an average of 99 and 62. So if you've seen the last video, I think in the last with CatchyOS, the comparison was quite larger. The average FPS and the CPU load, the difference was a little bit more significant. Significantly higher average FPS for Pop! OS, and significantly more higher average CPU load on Pop! OS. Whereas on CatchyOS, it was a little bit significantly, I mean, I don't want to say like significantly, but like less average FPS and less average CPU load. Whereas now on the same desktop environment, it's a little bit, and that was KDE Plasma 6. On the same desktop environment, it's the gap is bridged a little bit. So I did this experiment with Cosmic and Gnome, and you can see, from the previous data set that the average FPS it's still slightly higher. It seems like on Cosmic, with several reaching an average of 100, whereas here it's in solidly within the 90s range. Whereas in CatchyOS, if I remember, it was solidly in the 80s to 90s range, with the average CPU load, I think, even being 40 to 50%. So those are the results from this one. I thought to do this from the feedback that I got, which, thanks, by the way, if anyone watching that last video is seeing this video now, thanks for that. We're on the same kernel, we're on the same GPU driver version, we're on the same display server, just this one factor that's different, so we can see, does this indeed make a difference? And it seems like indeed it does, not as significant as the previous results, but it seems like there is a little bit of a difference. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. Hopefully that gave you insight on anything if you're trying to pick a distro or anything like that. Again, something I'll say, like in the last video, before doing any of these, I didn't think that there would be that much of a difference, if any difference at all. I thought that, like when you would see articles and stuff about, oh, best gaming distro and things like that, I thought like, oh, it's just because it's better because it comes with things pre-installed or something like that. But it seems like it turns out there actually is a little bit of a difference between, well, actually, I guess the results of these two videos doesn't really tell you for sure if it's kernel version or if it's desktop environment or both. So that's the results of this one, but I still maybe as a sort of part three, maybe do what the comments were suggesting, whereas it's just the kernel version that is different between CatchyOS and PropOS. So I have Gnome on CatchyOS, so maybe I can do that as the same version because I have Gnome on Wayland here and I have Gnome on Wayland there, and I can get the same version there. So maybe that might be the next video on that. So hope you enjoyed watching and hope you found this informational.